Thank you all for coming. So the presentation will be a little bit about interior design, a little bit about designing developments, which is what we do with my company, Adam Chic, but also on the other hand, a little bit about marketing. So what we do at the moment, let me see if I have it on my first slide. A little bit about myself first. So I come from the marketing and management background, and actually until April last year, I was in banking environment, a director at Lloyds Banking Group. But all throughout the last 3.5, 4 years, I've been developing my my career and my joy, my hobby, however you call it, my life, which is interior design. So moving slowly from banking into the business of interior design. But I had an amazing career. I really love it. Many people here saw me speak here already previously, so sorry if I repeat myself. But I've lived in many countries, with the banking world, which I really appreciate, but it's completely behind me now, and I'm moving on to doing what I love. So I'm in this network for about 4 years, spoke at different events, including Brendan's events, completed a crowdfunding campaign a couple of years ago when I wanted to do more development for myself. Learned that it's quite a hard thing to do actually, and I prefer the instant gratification, which is designing it and then moving on and designing another one, which is what we do with the company now. And I do a bunch of speaking events, independent and for PIN and other larger companies. So currently I'm a director at Adam Chic, and I also have a property brand lab, which is the branding company for individuals and property companies. We are working on different tools for scaling up, and this is all about really from where I came from, is from doing small refurbishments myself. So I understand the journey of trying to scale up your property business, and we're working typically with clients who are getting their first new builds. We're doing about 6 or 7, 9 unit new builds at the moment. So we're kind of guiding them together to move from this refurbishment, conversion, small developments into a larger space. And I really love it because you really see them develop, and I feel their pain because I've done it myself. And I understand all of the things that are really hard about it, the financing, talking to vendors, every part of the process. I've done it and I understand it. And this is why we are really focused on helping to move them to the other side, to the larger development. And also, the pre-Brexit dynamic is very interesting. I've quit my job in April last year, that was already into the Brexit process. Some of you might say it's pretty crazy to set up a business when in a property in London, when this market, is quite challenging at the moment. But what really helps is that developers really need to stand out at the moment, because it's not anymore, anybody's buying their flats. They need to have something that is unique. They need to be better than the competitor next door. So this is where a lot of our business comes from, when they see the value of paying a little bit to a professional to make those sites really spicy and really interesting. So a bit about how we approach things. So our methodology is styling for profit, and that really means that we are trying to squeeze every penny from all parts of the development. And where I see opportunities to squeeze in penny in developments is all those 5 items which I will discuss in a minute. So floor plan review, marketing and CGIs, concept for your interior design, then digging into specification, and at the end in your show homes. So in all of those parts, we've managed to realize higher values for our clients. Me personally, I managed to realize higher values, so I believe in them very strongly. And why should you care? Here is an example of one of our projects. Many people might know the developer for it. This is from Century Spaces, one of their developments, 7 units in Bristol, which we styled last year. And we've actually did 3 show homes in a 7-unit development. We designed the whole development, all specification for it. And then one of the flats, the one on the top there, attracted 33 viewings in 1 week. So for 20% over asking, it's quite a small value as well, but it was 200 something thousand, 46K uplift, and it's achieved 20% extra for the developer. So we done another flat sold within 1 week. Another took a couple of weeks to sell, and really we've been working on 7 projects with this developer now, because even though whoever knows Thomas Eskenbeck, who is the developer, he's very numbers oriented, he's very rational. So he had us to prove, that this model works. So if he continues using it, then definitely model works. So one thing that before I begin the whole process and discussing the 5 steps of our methodology, I would say always start with the end in mind. So who is going to buy the developments? And I see this quite a lot when we come in and do a show home and don't actually follow developers through the whole journey. We come in and the flats are very confused, and you could see developers not thinking about who is going to buy it. So it's done for a family, but it doesn't have storage, or doesn't have space to put a buggy. Like all of those things you need to think about when you design your floor plans. So first thing you ask yourself before you even proceed with the 5 questions, 5 points here, is who is going to live there, and that's how you start designing around it. So the first point that I want to discuss with you is the layouts, and I actually love them because I think they are often overlooked. So you just proceed with whatever the architect has given you. If you have a site, you got the planning, someone else sold you the site with planning, you're so excited, you're just rushing into it. But actually, the first step is to stop, take a look at the plans, where can you maximize the value? And sometimes really small things make a huge difference. And here I actually have an example of a property from a developer in this room, Claire Norwood, on her 20-unit hospital conversion in 10-unit hospital conversion in Plymouth. So when we got engaged on this project, we looked at the floor plans first, and there were very small things that we made changes to. And what I always see is that the way architects work, they get involved in doing the plans for about 10 months, a year. So they work around what they've already amended. So they created something for a reason, then they work around it, they add to it, and they understand the whole journey. But if you get someone to come in and look at it with fresh eyes, then suddenly they see, why is this here, why is that here? And that's what happened here. So we made a couple of changes, including this change in the kitchen. So the developer, Claire and her partner, decided that they want separate utility rooms in all of the units, which was the right thing to do. It adds value, it's a very useful thing to have. And then the architect went ahead and started adding the utility rooms, and ended up with this. And what happened here, the reason why we came in and we said this utility room must be moved or must be somewhere else in the kitchen, is because it ended up being this window over here, which is the only window in this flat which overlooks this beautiful courtyard. So if you were to cover it, first of all, it wouldn't have any direct sunlight, because that's the sunny side. And second of all, it would cover the biggest asset of this flat, which is the look on the courtyard. So sometimes those really tiny things, and I love floor plans because I think, it's like puzzles for me. You can change different things and generate higher value. But sometimes those small things are really worth to look at. So what I would say, the lessons or takeouts of the first lesson is that more heads are always better than one. So ask your friend, ask your, someone at the bar, whoever you can find to have a look at the plan. And it doesn't have to be a professional. It sometimes has to be someone in your circle who is just going to advise on what he sees with his eyes. So look at things as storage, unutilized corridors. I hate corridors, so I try to remove them wherever possible. where you have natural light and which rooms are going to benefit from it. We just did a show home for a flat a couple of months ago, and we came into this conversion, and the show home had the best window, the really huge window was in the bathroom. And I just could not understand it because the living room was so dark because this best window was somewhere else in the property. So stuff like that, really think about what is your asset in that space. And also open plan, which is what people like to see.